Cubone gave Charmander a little scarf. I like Cubone when he's like all squinty and happy. Don't you feel focused? Folks, how's it going out there? Today we are checking out Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX. We're checking out Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX demo for the Nintendo Switch. We learned about this game just the other day. There was some rumblings on Twitter. A few people said that they had heard that this game was going to be coming out, and I wasn't sure exactly what to think. They didn't know exactly what game it was going to be, but it was a cool direct surprise, as well as just the Pokemon Direct in general. So it's cool that this game is a remake and that they had the demo ready for it. So today we're basically just taking a look at the demo. For those of you out there who do have the Nintendo Switch or maybe played this game in the past, maybe it's worth checking out. The demo, of course, is free. This game comes out March 5th, I believe. So in the beginning sequence here, we go through and we have an interview. Do you occasionally consider yourself dull and overcautious? We'll just say yes. I have already played the demo through once. And so right here, I'm just gonna not even look, and I'm just going to pick random answers with the interview, because at the end it almost doesn't seem to matter anyway, because it kind of seems like you can just kind of pick whatever Pokemon you want. So you go through, you do this little interview here, it gives you a Pokemon, and then you pick your partner Pokemon. Now, I'm not exactly sure if they limited it for the demo, as I've only played one Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, and that was way back in the day. I don't really remember much of it. I just remember it being a cool take on Pokemon because the Pokemon talk to each other. But yeah, this is a strategic, grid-based type of dungeon crawler Pokemon game. And I like that there's no humans in it. Once again, this is a remake of the original Game Boy game. So that in itself, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that in itself and with just this game in general, because I like the fact that there's no humans. The Pokemon talk to each other. I would like to see sort of like a different take on it for Pokemon, and maybe in a new game have it be maybe not Mystery Dungeon, more like a regular Pokemon game, but without humans, where, ooh, yes, exactly, I'll take Charmander. But maybe where there's no humans, and the Pokemon sort of interact and talk to each other and have kind of their own inner dialogue. That would just be kind of cool. So hopefully at some point we can get... That should do it. Yes, we are ready to go. We are all set. Let's get us into the world of Pokemon. Go for it. Jump through the rainbow orb. It looks good. I love the colors to it. I love that it's not about graphics, and it has this watercolor kind of paint art style, where even the sky, it's just clouds, but at least they move. So there's some nice textures to it, and it's just very colorful, and it brings the Pokemon world to life in a different type of way, and so that I really like about it. I'm not exactly sure if I'd want to sit through the whole game. I would imagine that since it was on the Game Boy, that maybe it's a 15 to 20 hour dungeon crawling game. But I'm still curious to see just how this game kind of takes shape and how it actually plays out. So I'm going to say that I recommend it, at least going to check out the demo, which is free on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Go check it out. A lot of people were pretty pumped for this. And then there's a lot of people that were like, oh, cool, it's a remake, so I might skip that one. And I sort of feel the same way. I wish the demo would have just gone a little bit longer, or instead of doing the save file changeover, that they kind of gave a more exciting middle of the chunk game. I understand the premise of that, in being that they want to give you 2 free hours so that you can start building it and then you transfer your save over. But the game's not so far away, but it's also not so close that you wouldn't want to play that same hour over again. So I kind of wish in that aspect that they just gave a little bit further in the game to kind of show off some of the boss fights and how the game actually builds itself up. So again, this is a remake. This is like the first 2 gen of Pokemon, so I'm not exactly sure just how many Pokemon are actually in this game. I would guess that they're not all going to be in it, like the first 250 or however much from the first 2 generations. But you go through here just on this grid and fight Pokemon one by one, and it's kind of cool because you don't actually go into the battles and then do turn-based. It's just right on the map, so even though it's a grid system, it still kind of works out. I definitely would like to see another version of this game, and so hopefully in the next year maybe we'll see another one. Now Pokemon, they're not the type of company that needs to feel the market out and see if there's actually an audience for this. It doesn't matter what game they put out, especially this game. People that know the franchise, even if they don't know this specific spin-off series, they'll see it at like a Walmart or a Best Buy or a Target and say, my kid likes Pokemon, I'm buying them now. And there'll be plenty of kids that just get this game because they like Pokemon, they didn't even know what it was, their parents hand it to them, and then you just kind of play it. I mean, this is how it was back in the day when these games first came out. We wouldn't know what this game actually was. I mean, if you actually paid attention, or maybe if you had internet, you would kind of check it out that way, maybe hear a couple reviews, read a couple reviews. There was no YouTube, so you would just get a random game like this, have to look at the back of the box, and then just basically buy it on a whim, and that would be the only new game that you had. So you would go through and you would just sink in your 30 hours or whatever, however long it was, and that was that. And that's pretty much anybody that remembers this game from, 2005, I think they said it was. So I'm not even sure when I played the Mystery Dungeon, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the Mystery Dungeon games, because I don't remember there being any humans, and I remember it being grid-based dungeon crawler with the Pokemon having their own dialogue. So in terms of just that, I would love to see another version of this brought up to pace, without it being like 3D, still being like turn-based, having kind of this same look, and then just building up the story that way. I mean, that's ideally what I would like to see, because Pokemon isn't really a story. The show has the story, and then the games kind of, especially with Sword and Shield, I was not a fan of the story. It's kind of not shoehorned in. I mean, it is there, but just the dialogue and having to stop in between, like every cutscene, then you go to the edge of town, then there's another cutscene, then you get to the next part of the town, there's another cutscene, and then you have another cutscene when you walk in front of the building, and then right as you're about to walk into the building, then you come out of the building, and there's Hop again, and all the same characters, and it felt just sort of tacked on. I didn't get invested into it in any way, and I'm hoping with the DLC that's coming out, I'm hoping the thing with like Leon and Mustard, shout out to Mustard, you guys gotta love Mustard, hit the like button for Mustard if you like Mustard. Mustard is disgusting and doesn't belong on food, but that guy is funny. I love his model, and the fact that his eyebrows are his like old man, it's almost like he has like a mullet horseshoe, like old man horseshoe mullet, just from his eyebrows. But anyways, hopefully with the DLC and with him and Mustard being Leon's trainer, hopefully they add a little bit more story into it, because I just kind of felt that Sword and Shield was lacking any type of story. And even though this game is just more playful than that, and I mean, it is canon, but these Pokemon just talk to each other, and you're just sort of saving other Pokemon and going on these pretend quests. It's all in good fun, but it just adds a little something extra that without the game is kind of just a piece missing out of the Pokemon universe. So I'm hoping to maybe get a story-based Pokemon RPG that don't have humans, but is still like a turn-based, grid-based strategy type game, maybe with this same type of art style. But this is the main town here. We're going to be shown around. It just looks really nice. I like this style of it a lot. I could see other games sort of having this same sort of style, to where it still feels like a kind of Game Boy or Super Nintendo or Game Boy Advance type of RPG brought up to today's world without it just having your typical kind of graphics, or for RPG's sake, that sort of overdone, maybe even at this point, that typical graphical style that like all the big RPGs do, where even though it's super clean and super nice looking, there's kind of so many of them that you look at certain games and you just remember that art style, just the way it's shaded, the way the models are, the color palette, and you kind of just think to yourself, oh, that looks like this game and this game and this game and this game. So let's refuse to form a rescue team and see what happens. And of course, you can't do that, so you have to form the rescue team, or else the credits just roll. Aw, Cubone gave Charmander a little scarf. I like Cubone when he's like all squinty and happy. Don't you feel focused, like we're on the same team together? And he's got his little yellow one. Rescue Team Grit. Let's do it, starting tomorrow. And that is how Charmander and Cubone began their careers together as a rescue team. So that is not the end of the demo by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it might be, and that it was only maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, but that's not the case. It kind of just keeps going. But it's definitely a good demo, so those are just my thoughts on it. I just kind of free throwing this video here, so let me know what you guys think. Did you guys play the demo? If not, I recommend checking it out. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to buy the game or wait for it to come out. I'm still going to do a little bit more research, I suppose, and checking out what the original game actually entails and seeing if it's just worth passing or maybe waiting at some point, because I imagine this game will still sell quite a bit, but not like Pokemon Sword and Shield. And so at some point, maybe even in just a year, I imagine the game will probably be on sale. This is going to be a full price $59.99 game, so I'm not exactly sure how much content is in it and or what the differences are from its original Pokemon Mystery Team Rescue Red and Blue that were on the original Game Boy back in 2005 or 6, I believe it is. So let me know down below what you think. Thank you guys always for watching. Cuboner.